following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFNG coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review. And today we're going to be taking a look at a Transformers figure I've been wanting to add to my collection ever since it was released earlier this year. And it is the Amazon exclusive Transformers Legacy Wreck and Roll Collection 2-pack of Autobot Leadfoot and Masterdominus. Released, as I said, this is an Amazon exclusive here in the US, and I'm more excited for this set than I was for the previously released Wreck and Roll action set that I looked at, which was the 2-pack of Impactor and Fossilizer Spindle. And that's because, unlike this 2-pack where I only had a lot of incentive to get one of the figures, Spindle, I wasn't really too excited for Impactor, even though it's a version of him that's a wrecker. I already have the two versions of Impactor that were released in the Siege line, so having a third version wasn't as much excitement as it was for the other figures. But I was really excited for this set because, just like the Fossilizer Spindle, Masterdominus is a brand new character, and what makes him unique is that he's the first and only fossilizer to have a fossilized mammal, to be specific, a fossilized mammoth for an alt mode. So it's really cool to see that. The only other Transformers character I can think of that has any type of mammoth for an alt mode is the Japanese exclusive character of Big Convoy Oi, who was the main heroic character from Transformers. I believe it was Beast Wars 2nd. Again, so it's nice to see another mammoth character not only be released, but be released by Hasbro. But also for the other character in this 2-pack, Leadfoot here. Leadfoot's one of those Transformers characters where his name's been used on multiple Transformers characters that aren't related to each other. The only thing they have in common is their name. I have only 2 other figures of Leadfoot, and neither of them are based on the original Generation 2 version of the character Leadfoot, which this figure is based on. So I'm really excited to have this because, similar to Masterdominus, this has become the first and only action figure of the original Generation 2 version of Leadfoot that I've added to my Transformers collection. So out of all 5 of the Transformers Wreck and Roll collection sets, this is the one I was the most excited for. And for those of you guys wondering, yes, just like past Amazon exclusive sets, as incentive to get everyone to not only buy these, but all of the Transformers Wreck and Roll collection figures, you can combine the boxes together, and the artwork on the boxes forms a giant mural. The 2-packs here that I have, which are Spindle and Impactor and Leadfoot and Masterdominus, these 2-packs form the base of the mural. The boxes you place on top are Springer and Bulkhead, and then on the very top you have Twin Twist. I have no desire at this time to get any of the other Wreck and Roll collection figures because, unlike these guys who are brand new characters that I didn't have any figures of, I already have the Legacy version of Bulkhead, the Siege version of Springer, and the original Titans Return version of Twin Twist, so I have no incentive to get those other sets, but I was really excited to get these guys. So here's the base of the mural that they form. Another incentive that, I don't know if I really showed it off in my Spindle and Impactor 2-pack review, but another incentive to get collectors to buy all 5 sets is you get a cardboard cutout of a giant sledgehammer. I believe it's supposed to be the Forge of Solus Prime, but I could be wrong. It could be the Magnus Hammer. But anyways, that's it's not enough incentive. The artwork along with the cardboard hammer, it wasn't enough incentive for me to buy all 5 sets. So this will be the last Wreck and Roll collection set that I will be reviewing here on my YouTube channel. So there's the artwork of Leadfoot and Masterdominus. Leadfoot's transformed into his robot mode, and Masterdominus is transformed into fossil mode. And again, I really enjoy the idea of Masterdominus as a brand new character. The woolly mammoth is one of my favorite extinct animals. Well, part of it has to do with the fact that woolly mammoth fossils have been found across the globe, and it's one of the most commonly, and it is arguably the most commonly known extinct mammal whose fossilized remains have been discovered. So to finally have a fossilizer that turns into a fossilized mammoth is pretty fantastic looking. And also from other reviews and photos I've seen, one thing I like about Masterdominus is that black is one of the prominent colors used on him. And as I said, for Leadfoot, this is the only figure of G2 Leadfoot that I have in my collection. So yeah, I had a lot of incentive to get this 2-pack a lot more than I did for Impactor and Spindle. So Going on here to the back of the box, you got some product photos. There you have Leadfoot in his robot mode and his alternate mode of a Formula One race car. He transforms back and forth between both modes in 18 steps. Masterdominus, he transforms back and forth from robot mode to fossilized mammoth mode in 14 steps. And just like the other deluxe class-sized fossilizers, he does have the fossilizer gimmick where you can take all his body parts apart and use them as additional weapons for other Transformers figures. Just like Spindle in my other review of the Wrecking Rule collection video, I will not be showing off Master Dominus' fossilizer mode because the weaponizer mode, I should say, because I've never really been too much of a fan of that. The main gimmick of the fossilizers having fossilized, until Master Dominus was created, it was fossilized dinosaurs, but fossilized creatures. I really enjoy that. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for these guys. Pretty nice looking box. So one thing that makes the box unique is that for the gimmick of the artwork forming a mural, the Transformers Generations logo is on the opposite side of the box compared to where it normally is on other boxes. And for those of you guys who have been collecting Transformers figures since the Kingdom line last year in 2021, Master Dominus and Leadfoot are retools and repaints of previously released Transformers figures. Leadfoot is a repaint with a new head sculpt of Transformers Kingdom Earth Mode Mirage, which also was an Amazon exclusive, and Master Dominus is a repaint and a retool of the Transformers Kingdom Fossilizer. The original version of this mold was Ractonite, who was one of the least liked and least well received fossilizers from Transformers collectors, but hopefully when we get him out of his box, Master Dominus will be an exception to that. So without further delay, let's get these guys out of the package and take a close look at them in robot mode. Alright, so before we actually get to their robot modes, here are Leadfoot and Master Dominus on the box insert tray. And this is now, and with Hasbro and Dakar Tomi's desire to remove plastic from all packaging on Transformers action figures, all of the accessory pieces they come with are here and wrapped up inside a piece of paper. So yeah, when you open them up out of the box, this is what they look like for the first time, and why we're going to start off in robot mode. Alright, so the first figure we have here is Leadfoot, and after looking at photos of what his original Generation 2 action figure looked like, as far as the paint sculpting detailing goes, I think Hasbro and Dakar Tomy did a very successful job of emulating the look of his original Generation 2 action figure, especially considering the fact that they chose to take the Kingdom Earth Mode version of Mirage, slap a G2 Leadfoot's head sculpt on the mold, and call it a day. One thing that some collectors might find disappointing is that the only part of Leadfoot that's done in blue plastic is his robot mode pelvis. The rest of his blue parts are all metallic blue paint that's sitting on yellow plastic, and I'm honestly amazed at the shade of metallic blue that they used on here, because the yellow plastic isn't bleeding through it, so it's not coming out green, it's blue. Same thing with the blue here on the rocket pod, here on the rocket launcher. It's blue paint as well, only it's done over black plastic. Same here with the blue on his chest, that's paint as well. It's also the same with all of the parts of Leadfoot that are done in red. All the red bits on Leadfoot, his visor, the center of his chest, his racing numbers, and his racing stripes, that's all paint as well. So he doesn't have any parts that are actually made out of red plastic. It's all paint. The only colored plastic that Leadfoot is made of, surprisingly, is yellow and black. Yellow for most of his robot mode, and then black for you can see turning Leadfoot around. There you can see his robot mode legs are blue paint in the front and solid yellow plastic in the back. Same thing with his the upper half of his legs. You can see there the inside of his hip, it's yellow plastic as well. Now, one thing that I'm a little disappointed to see, and I already knew this before I took my copy out of the box after watching previous reviews of him, the one part of Leadfoot that looks like it's yellow plastic that's not, is his robot mode head. Leadfoot's robot mode head, from what I can tell from the plastic that's bleeding out from the space in between where the head is the two halves of the head come together. It's actually black plastic that's been painted over entirely yellow, so why in the world Hasbro and Tomy didn't just make Leadfoot's head out of yellow plastic, and as again they used black plastic instead and just painted it over with yellow paint? I honestly cannot say, but that is one gripe. That is one of the main gripes that I have with this figure, is that why didn't they just make his head yellow plastic if they were going to just paint it over yellow entirely? Unfortunately, right out of the package, I don't know how my camera's going to pick it up, but there's a little paint chip there on one of Leadfoot's cheeks, and then my camera can't really pick it up due to the low quality, but here on the back you can see where the paint is so thick on the back of his head that it's splotched in some areas around the a ball joint used for his neck area, so that's really disappointing to know that Hasbro and Tomy, they could have just done the head in yellow plastic, but they instead decided to make it out of black plastic and just painted it over entirely with yellow. So the risk is that as time goes by and the figure ages, that if any of the paint scrapes off, then the black helmet underneath is going to show. And unfortunately, the yellow helmet here on Leadfoot, that is accurate to his original Generation 2 figure, so if the black plastic underneath ever gets exposed, that's going to be a very, very major problem and major letdown on the designer's part. But other than that, I'm not going to go into the articulation because it's the same as both Kingdom and the Siege versions of Mirage. But yeah, just overall, I really enjoy how Leadfoot came out. And of course, he is a wrecker. That's what the Wreck and Rule collection is all about. All the Transformers characters here are wreckers. So one thing that someone has pointed out is that even though we've only gotten a handful of them, oh, and look there, right here, that, I don't know how my camera's going to pick up, but you look right there on my fingernail, my bedroom light is reflecting off it, but if you look right there on my fingernail, on my thumb here, there's some of the yellow paint chipping off of Leadfoot's helmet right out of the box, so yeah, be careful of paint falling off of this guy's head. So that's really disappointing, and I just barely adjusted his head on the ball joint on his neck, and I think that's where the paint chipped off, was in there. So before I noticed that paint chipping, what I was trying to say is that even though we've only gotten a handful of Autobot Transformers characters who are from the original Generation 2 series, not one of them has been not one of the modern Generation 2 Autobot action figures has been given the original the Generation 2 Autobot logo, which was based off of Generation 1 Optimus Prime's face sculpt. So it's the real question for Transformers fans, especially Transformers Generation 2 fans, to ask right now is, will modern day action figures based on the Generation 2 Autobots actually have the Generation 2 Autobot logo tampographed on them or not? So far the answer is no, so I don't know if it's that Hasbro and Tomy don't want to bring back the Generation 2 Autobot logo, but with the handful of Generation 2 Autobots we've gotten, such as the Legacy Leader Class Laser Optimus Prime figure having the Generation 1 Autobot logo, Generation 2 Road Rocket, who was released in the Velocitron Speed 500 collection, she has the Generation 1 Autobot logo, and now Leadfoot having the Wreckers logo on his chest. It's a wonder if we're ever going to get Generation 2 Autobots that have the Generation 2 Autobot logo tampographed on them. And because I keep mentioning him, for a size comparison, here is Leadfoot next to the figure that he's directly repainted from, which is Kingdom Earth Mode Mirage. And I do have an upgrade kit of some shoulder-mounted 5mm ports here on Mirage, which is why his rocket launcher's sitting on his shoulder. Let's see if I can adjust my finger so I'm not holding him by his head. But yeah, there's Leadfoot next to Mirage. Only newly sculpted part is the head sculpt. And again, Hasbro, Tomy, why didn't you just make that yellow plastic? Why did you have to make it black plastic smothered in yellow paint? Okay, but that one gripe aside, I do overall enjoy how Leadfoot turned out, and it is a joy to have an action figure of him in my collection, because as I said again, the only other, I don't know if I mentioned already, but this is only the third Transformers action figure in my collection that has the name Leadfoot applied to it, but the previous two Leadfoot figures in my collection don't look a thing like Generation 2 Leadfoot. The only thing they have in common is that they have race cars for alt modes. So, by all accounts, this has become the first and only action figure based on the original Generation 2 version of Leadfoot that I have in my Transformers collection, so it really is thrilling to have this guy here. And so here he is one last time next to Mirage, so you can see the paint differences between them. I don't know if anyone who's made the shoulder-mounted upgrade kits for Mirage, if they're going to do it in other colors for the other figures that have been done that are now mold mates with Mirage. I personally am not going to get any of them because, as I'm happy with Mirage being the only one to have his rocket launcher mounted on his shoulder, because I think it helps to further distinguish Leadfoot from him. So yeah, there has been the first figure in this two-pack of Generation 2 Autobot Leadfoot. And next up we have the new character in this two-pack, Fossilizer, Autobot, or in this case Wrecker, Masterdominus. So yeah, this guy is a entirely brand new Transformers character, and he's the first of the fossilizers ever since the fossilizer introduced in the Kingdom line to have a fossilized mammal, specifically a woolly mammoth as his fossil mode, or beast mode, if you will. And yeah, it really is exciting to have a fossilized mammal amongst all of the fossilized dinosaurs that have been released in the fossilizer line. As far as I can tell from the photos on his box and everything I'm looking at, I do have Masterdominus transformed correctly. And one thing you can do with Masterdominus is you can remove the front of his mammoth skull, and you can have him wielded as a. You can have him use his tusks as a double-bladed dagger type weapon or jabbing type weapon. And then one thing that was pointed out is that, and I read this on the Transformers Wikipedia, is that if you remove his tusks, you can take the chest plate that comes with the other Wreck and Rule fossilizer of Spindle, and you can place it here on Masterdominus's mammoth skull, and you can make a mask or a combiner head using combining Masterdominus and Spindle's faces together. You can make a combiner head for a fossilizer combiner, if you will. The reason why I'm hesitant saying that is because, according to the Transformers Wikipedia, that's the only combination gimmick between Masterdominus and Spindle that they can share, is combining their faces to form a combiner head. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And so, whatever combiner you want to use with that head is left up to your own imagination. But yeah, here's Masterdominus in his robot mode. The mammoth head ends up being one of his robot mode shoulders, and the other shoulder is, of course, the mammoth pelvis. Here's his helmet, and Masterdominus does have a pretty neat-looking helmet. There's the Wrecker logo on his chest, and his color scheme is primarily black, and gray. And I'm really enjoying the black plastic that's used on here. I believe it is a black matte plastic. It isn't paint like the blue paint on Leadfoot. And I think the black color scheme being used here on Masterdominus, it might just very, very loosely be a reference to the fact that quite a good number of mammoth fossils have been found at the La Brea tar pits where I live here in California. So yeah, I just really enjoy the paint job that's used here on Masterdominus. And even though he has a fossilized mammoth for his fossil mode, his name Masterdominus is a play on the words Mastodon and Domination, in case you guys were wondering. So yeah, that's as I said, I'm really enjoying seeing him here. For a size comparison with the figure that is the original version of the mold that he's made from, here he is next to Ractonite. There are some subtle differences between the two of them. The outside rib cage on Masterdominus, that is a new head sculpt, because you can see right there where my thumb is, there's a larger protruding pelvic region, which is not found here on Ractonite. The head sculpt is, of course, entirely brand new. You got a mammoth skull versus on Ractonite here, this is a Styracosaurus. Whereas the pelvis, I believe, is the pelvis is the exact same. The arms are entirely brand and new. And even though the feet are the same, Masterdominus does have one newly sculpted part of an additional 5mm peg sticking on top that allows these extra bits to be attached on him, so he does have a much larger hand than the 5mm port hand that Ractinite unfortunately has. And apart from that, and of course the torso is different as well. The only part of the torso that's the same is right here, the spinal cord on the back center. That's the only part of the torso that's the same. It's painted gold here on Masterdominus, but yeah, everything else about the torso is the same. Of course, you got different heads, and then from the waist down, the pelvis and the legs are the exact same sculpting used on both Masterdominus and Dominus as it is on Ractinite. So yeah, but I want to say about half of Ractinite was retooled into new parts for Masterdominus to make him a woolly mammoth instead of a Styracosaurus. Of course, it would have been nice for him to have new legs as well, but I guess, as Hasbro and Takara decided 50% of the figure was enough to turn it from a four-legged dinosaur into a mammoth. So without anything, that's pretty much all there is to say. Again, because he's a brand new character, there isn't too much information about Masterdominus, so I will say this: whether or not he, along with the other fossilizers, will be featured in a Transformers cartoon series or in any of the comic books is uncertain at this point, but I personally wouldn't mind seeing Masterdominus helping out the wreckers on the battlefield. So without further ado, let's get this guy transformed into fossil mode and we'll wrap up the review. Alright, so here is Masterdominus transformed into his fossilizer mode of a fossilized, nice woolly mammoth. He does have the opening jaw just like an actual mammoth skull does, so that's pretty nice looking there. Unfortunately, the 5mm peg that keeps his head attached to him is very loose, so his head can't, unfortunately, you can look it up right here, but if you try and put it in like a face forward position, then unfortunately feels like it's gonna flop down. And unfortunately, I can say that this copy of Masterdominus suffers the same problem that a lot of copies of Masterdominus have, and it is that my copy of Masterdominus, he actually has two right feet. The front legs, based on the photos, going off the product photos that I've seen on Amazon and also here on his box, these legs are supposed to be mirror images of each other. As you can see, it's two copies of the exact same leg. This is supposed to be the right side leg, so unfortunately my copy of Masterdominus has two front right feet. And you can even see it here with the shape of the knees. As you can see, they're the exact same shape on both of them. They aren't mirror images of each other, so but other end. Apparently a lot of the there's been a lot of copies of Masterdominus that have had this problem of having two duplicates of the same leg rather than the legs being mirror images of each other. If you wanted to, you could technically swap out one of Masterdominus's legs with one of the front legs used here on Ractinite, but unfortunately because of that new retooled additional 5mm peg on the back of the leg, when you transform Masterdominus into his robot mode, there won't be a place to put one of his new extra fingers that he has to distinguish him from Ractinite. But your OCD about if you have a copy of Masterdominus that has two front right legs and you're OCD about now, you can technically, if you want, get a duplicate copy of Ractinite and give Masterdominus a leg transplant, although it won't be a perfect match, unfortunately, due to the one new retooled part. So yeah, there's Masterdominus next to Ractinite. I really, again, as I said at the start of the review, I really enjoy the idea of a fossilized woolly mammoth here, and I really enjoy, despite that having two front right feet, I do enjoy having Masterdominus in my collection. I do enjoy how he turned out. And for one last special size comparison for Masterdominus, here he is next to the, this is the second version of this mold, Kingdom Tricranius, who is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive figure. So here's every version of this mold that's been released. And again, with the release of Masterdominus and also Spindle in the Wreck and Rule collection, which was my main incentive for getting these two Wreck and Rule collection sets, there are now a total of 10 fossilizers that have been released. 8 of them were released in the Kingdom line, and 2 of them here in the Legacy line, so Whether or not we're going to get more fossilizers is uncertain at this point, considering the fact that so far the only 2 fossilizers we've gotten in the Legacy line have been Amazon exclusives that have been wreckers rather than actual Autobots or even Maximals. It's uncertain if Hasbro and Takara are going to continue the fossilizers, or if the release of Masterdominus and along with Spindle is their way of saying that the fossilizers were a great gimmick for the Transformers Kingdom line, but now that Kingdom has ended and they're now doing Legacy, if the fossilizers are going to end, and is uncertain at this point, trying to get Masterdominus's legs in a position where they can go. I think this leg stance is, I think that more broader front-legged stance is how an actual mammoth stood. But, so yeah, there is Masterdominus in his fossil mode, and I just realized I forgot I was going to transform Leadfoot into his alt mode first and show him off. So now that we've looked at Masterdominus in his beast mode, let's take a look at Leadfoot. Alright, I apologize for almost forgetting, but here is Leadfoot transformed into his vehicle mode of a Formula 1 race car. And again, paint-wise, it is very accurate to his original Generation 2 figure. You got some red there on the steering wheel and the front gauge. You got blue, metallic blue on the driver's chair. He's got 93 for his racing number. Same here on his racing spoiler on the back. And again, it is pretty. It is a fairly decent-looking race car. I really enjoy the combination of yellow and metallic blue used on it. And here he is next to Kingdom Earthmo Mirage. If you want to further distinguish them, you can put the laser guns on opposite sides if you want, and have them be mirror images with their weapon storage. And because I have an upgrade kit attached to Mirage, the only difference in the vehicle mode here on the back is that Mirage has 2 additional 5mm pegs, which Leadfoot is lacking. But yeah, overall, I do enjoy the design, the layout of the paint job used here to distinguish Leadfoot from Mirage. And again, here are Leadfoot and Masterdominus side by side in their alternate modes. So do I recommend getting this 2-pack and adding it to your Transformers collection? I absolutely do. Hopefully you can get a version of Masterdominus that doesn't have the issue of having 2 copies of the same front leg. And yeah, overall, I do enjoy how these figures both came out, and I really enjoy having them in my collection, so I do highly recommend you get this. If I had to choose just one of the 5 Legacy Wreck and Rule collection packs to get, it would definitely be the 2-pack of Leadfoot and Masterdominus. Thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFN Geek, and until next time, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, transform, and roll out. Goodbye.